All right, man. Peace. So, I've had a few of these nut job, crazy, deranged LA Laker slash Kobe Bryant superfans ask me to do a feature on the Lakers rookie, Kyle Kuzma. So I saw this segment and I decided to appease them. So, of course, they're going to talk about him and I'm going to chime in.
He lasted until the 27th pick of the 2017 NBA Draft, but few have posted results quite like Kyle Kuzma, whose brilliant start is now in focus.
And, they said that he lasted until the 27th pick as if he fell so deep in the draft. That's still the first round. And besides that, I believe he came out of Utah? It's not like they did anything in the NCAA tournament. So the fact that he was drafted number 27 shows you how impressive he must have been when the scouts saw him and when he worked out for various teams. So I believe that 27 is actually high. It's not like he's Draymond Green or something like that,
Keep talking about who's going to be Rookie of the Year, which is the best rookie out there, and if there's another rookie in Lakerland who people are starting to talk about, you might have heard about him, Kyle Kuzma.
Let me say this about the LA Lakers situation very quickly, and I mentioned this in regards to Lonzo Ball. They are going to have to get rid of some dead weight. I believe that Julius Randle is dead weight. I believe that Jordan Clarkson is dead weight. I've mentioned this already. I don't believe that those guys are on the Lonzo Ball bandwagon like they need to be. He is going to be their point guard of the future, whether they like it or not, whether they like his dad or not. It is their job to get on board. I don't believe that they're on board, and they're going to have to be removed. Now, in regards to Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram, the interesting thing with those two is that they both seem to play the same position. So eventually something is going to have to give there. And both of them seem to be very successful. And both of them seem to have a very bright future in the NBA. Now, Kuzma may be able to move towards the number 2 spot. But, the NBA right now, it's so predicated on shooting. I guess maybe they could play Ingram in spots at the 4. But I believe that they're going to have to move Kuzma to the 2. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can guard 2s in the NBA. But you know what? Having too much talent is a good problem to have.
What a pirouette from Kuzma, who finishes with 2 hands at the rim.
Kuzma had an amazing Chicago pre-draft camp. He stood out then. He continued on and had a hell of a summer league. And Kuzma hits the 3.
The NBA Summer League 2017 Championship Game MVP, Kyle Kuzma.
Let me say this, though. His productivity has dropped off precipitously since the Lonzo Ball injury. Now, Lonzo just came back, so we'll see if his numbers go back up. But that is a sign, at least early, that he is not really built to be a prime mover. Now, he may be built to be a prime mover somewhere down the line, but right now he's really not. The good news is that him and Ball seem to have a very good relationship, as well as Brandon Ingram. All 3 of them seem to have very similar personalities. They all seem to be very easygoing. So that is certainly the Laker nucleus for at least the very near future.
Kyle, 27th pick in the draft. What do you think you've proven so far?
What was I thinking?
No one knew who he was, and no one expected anything from him.
Those normally end up being the best players. The guys who drop down in the draft, and that's also a referendum on the Lakers scouting or any team scouting when they're able to pick up blue chip prospects who fall in the draft lower than where they quote unquote should be. I'm a firm believer that wherever you drop is where you should be anyway. I'm not a believer that things just happen or that there are necessarily mistakes from a macrocosmic perspective. He got chosen by the LA Lakers because that's where he was always supposed to be. And the Laker fans should be thankful. Once again, the future for that team seems to be very bright. At the core positions, they have everyone that they need to have, at least for now. They have a young triumvirate that seems to have a lot of potential, growth potential. So we'll see.
He works extremely hard and he takes advantage of this opportunity.
Now that I'm in the NBA, I'm just going to work hard every single day, get in the gym first, and try to stick in this league. I couldn't even imagine what it was back when Shaq and Kobe played here. You know, it's definitely not on that level, but hopefully we can get it there. You know, I've been playing pretty well for sure.
There it is, the first 30-point game.
But I'm a very hard critic on myself.
That's a good sign if he's a hard critic on himself. The Laker fans should be happy to hear that. That means that he's going to improve and that he's not satisfied. You have a lot of players in the NBA that are hyper talented, but who become very satisfied or who just don't have the mental acumen to understand what they need to do to get better. Many times people become satisfied just by being in the league. Look at guys like Michael Beasley. Everybody asks why Gerald Green, with all the talent that he has, cannot stick with a team. It's because he just doesn't have that mental sharpness that's necessary. Gerald Green is as talented physically and as athletic as anyone in the NBA, probably in NBA history. I mean, I've seen that guy leap and literally be nose high to the rim, like where he's looking down into the rim. As far as a 2-foot leaper, he's probably the best 2-foot leaper that I can remember in the NBA, maybe since Jason Richardson or going back further, Dominique Wilkins. I'm talking about Gerald Green. So there's no reason why he shouldn't be a perennial 25-point per game scorer other than the fact that he's missing something upstairs. But back to Kuzma. It's good that he makes those type of statements because he does have some improvement that he needs to concentrate on. From what I see, he seems kind of flat-footed. He does not get down low enough in his defensive stance. I mentioned that because if he is going to eventually move to the 2 or even the 3, he's going to have very good lateral movement. He's going to have to be able to follow shooting guards around screens. So we'll see what happens with that.
What you gotta like about Kuzma? The same mentality, same approach.
One piece of advice that I would offer all the young players across the world is just remain humble and work hard.
I totally agree. And when he uses the term humble, self-humility especially, he's in a competitive environment, so he cannot show any form of mental weakness or subservience to anyone else. So when he speaks on humility, in my view, he's not talking about respect for his opponent, over respect for his opponent. You do have to respect everyone out there on the floor, but over respect for the opponent or to allow yourself to be intimidated by someone because they have a name. But humility is, as he already stated, understanding that you can always be better. Every day you're either getting better or you're getting worse. So once again, he's saying all the right things. All right. So a lot of you nut job Laker fans, you should be optimistic about the future. And I definitely like what I've seen from Lonzo. But as I've already stated numerous times about Lonzo Ball, much of the maligning that he's received was based on the media's infatuation with his father being an alpha male, black male. And they were trying to take out their rancor for his dad on him. But I understood that by the All-Star break, a lot of it would subside, especially once Lonzo got comfortable with the NBA and the speed. You had all of these low-level amateur psychiatrists and psychologists trying to talk about why Lonzo was not going to be a success, how he was going to be a bust. And I knew that he was not going to be a bust because of his temperament. People can talk about his dad all they want. Whenever I see someone like a Lonzo Ball who is very, very content with who he is as a person and does not allow himself to get too high or too low, that is a reflection on the dad, on the father. Because what you'll notice about a lot of these males that are raised in environments with a high amount of feminine energy that's not balanced off or offset by masculine energy, they oftentimes get too high or too low. They're very emotionally unstable. Even great players like LeBron, you can see it. So Lonzo is definitely who you want to have as your point guard, especially if you have plans on going deep into the playoffs or becoming a team that can function in highly pressurized situations because he's going to keep himself on an even keel. That's what you want. And Kuzma is going to be a great supplementary player and scorer for that team. He just has to work on, like I stated, he's kind of flat-footed, especially on defense. So they might want to have him hit the jump rope.
Kuzma and one. Where would they be without him tonight?
Humble and hungry is what I live by, and that's paid off for me, so it can pay off for anybody.
But anyway, that's the feature on Mr. Kyle Kuzma. For you Laker fans, you brothers who asked me to do a feature on him, there you go. Anyway, peace.